Solution. Capital D is equal to the coefficients of the x's, 1, down below -1, down below 1. Second column are the coefficients of the y's, -2, down below 1, down below 3. And then the coefficients of the z's, -1, down below 3, down below 1, determinant. We're going to expand about the first row. The first number has an assignment of a plus sign. That equals positive 1 times the mini determinant. The second one comes with a minus sign, so that's going to have a minus in the number, which happens to also be negative, times the mini determinant. And then down below, the positive one, it's assigned a positive sign in that position, plus positive 1 is the number times the mini determinant. Now let's calculate what the mini determinants are. For the first mini determinant, cross out the column and row that the upper 1 lives in. It leaves -2 down below. It leaves 1, not -2. Cross out the top row in the first column. It leaves 1. That's a 1 down below 3, and a 3 down below 1. Now look at the number -1 that we have circled. Cross out the column and row that lives in. It leaves a -2 down below 3, and a -1 down below 1. And finally, look at the number 1 at the bottom that we've circled. Cross out the row and column that one lives in. It leaves -2 down below 1, -1 down below 3. Okay, let's go ahead and calculate the little mini determinants. This is equal to 1 times bracket, cross product, minus cross product. Minus and minus is plus 1 times cross product, minus cross product, and then plus 1 times bracket, cross product, minus cross product. So that's equal to 1 times -8 plus 1 times positive 1 plus 1 times -5. Just watch out for those double negatives that become positives. So that gives me -8 plus 1 is -7 minus the 5 equals -12. That is my D value. Now let's find D sub x. D sub x is equal to, now we're going to form this thing where we're going to replace the x column with the constants 0, 0, 3, and then the y column remains as it was before, -2, 1, 3, and then the z column, -1, 3, 1, equals 0. So 0 means I don't really care what's inside of here. I'm not even going to bother to put it in, because if it's multiplied by 0, I'm getting nothing there. Then a minus sign is assigned for the next 0. See, I did this 0 first. It came with a plus sign. This 0 second, it comes with a minus sign. But again, who cares? It's 0 times some number. I don't even care what it is. Now this one comes with a plus sign. We went plus minus plus. So this is positive, and then the number is 3 times bracket. Now this one we're going to fill out. Cross out the column and row that the number 3 at the bottom lives in, and that leaves a mini determinant of cross product minus cross product is -6 minus a -1. Well, I didn't even bother to put the little mini determinants. I just went ahead and calculated what it was. And that equals 3 times -6 minus the minus is plus, so it's -6 plus 1, that's -5. So that equals a -15. Okay, so far we have this is equal to D, this one's equal to D sub x. Let's find D sub y. D sub y equals, okay, we're going to keep the coefficients of the x's, which were 1, -1, 1. We're removing the coefficients of y's and replacing them with the constants 0, 0, 3, and then keep the coefficients of the z's, -1, 3, 1. Okay, so that's going to be equal to, first we're going to expand about the number 1, times, let's cross out the column and row that lives in and do the cross product minus the cross product. You'll get 0 times 1 is 0, minus a -9. Then the minus sign is assigned to the next number, and it happens to also be a negative number, negative 1, times, okay, cross out the row and the column that negative 1 lives in, and we'll get cross product minus cross product. It'll be 0 times 1 is 0, minus a negative 3. And then finally, at the bottom there, we have plus the number 1 times, cross out the column and row that the bottom 1 lives in, and do cross product minus cross product. You'll get 0 minus 0. So this is equal to 1 times 9, a positive 9 because of the double negative. A double negative is positive 1 times double negative makes positive 3, and the other guy's just 0. We don't need him. This is equal to 9 plus 3, which is equal to... Okay, I found my mistake. I had a mistake up here when I was going around the first one, and I crossed out. I said 0 minus a negative 9, but it's really 0 minus a positive 9. Okay, so that bracket makes this a negative. 1 times negative 9. Okay, you might have caught that. So this is a negative 9 plus 3, which is negative 6. That's equal to d sub y. And finally, d sub z. That's found by taking the x coefficients, 1, negative 1, 1, the y coefficients, negative 2, 1, 3, and then the constants in the z position, 0, 0, 3. Okay, expanding around this first column. First we'll do 1, that's equal to the positive of 1 times cross product minus cross product. When you block out the row and column, it's 1 times 3 is 3 minus 0. The next number we're going to expand about is negative 1. It comes with a negative assignment, and then the number negative 1 times bracket cross product minus cross product. When you block out the column and row that negative 1 lives in, you'll get negative 6 minus 0. And then finally, expand about the positive 1 on the bottom. It comes with a positive assignment, then the positive 1 times bracket, cross out the row and column, and do cross product minus cross product. Simplifying, that's equal to 1 times 3. Minus and minus is plus 1 times negative 6. And this guy is just 0, so get rid of that. So this is 3 plus a negative 6, so minus 6, equals negative 3. And that is our d sub z value. So the conclusion will conclude the solution, order triple x, y, z, is equal to d sub x over d, comma, d sub y over d, comma, and d sub z over d. That equals d sub x was, let's see, it was negative 15 over negative 12. Then we had negative 6 for d sub y over negative 12. The bottoms are all the same. And for d sub z we had negative 3 over negative 12. Factor and cancel. Our final answer is 5/4 for the x, and 1/2 for the y, and 1/4 for the z.